This is an iHeart podcast.
In New York, flanked by Texas Democrats, the governor said she'd push her state to consider redistricting in response to what's happening in Texas.
This is a war. We are at war. And that's why the gloves are off.
Subpoenas from Texas don't work in New York. So he gonna come get us how? Subpoenas in Texas don't work in Chicago. He's gonna come get us how?
You're listening to the 47 Morning Update with Ben Ferguson.
Good Tuesday morning. It's so nice to have you with us on the 47 Morning Update, and we've got two major stories for you. First up, we're hearing now from Donald Trump's White House an executive order is on its way over debanking of conservatives by small, mid-size, and especially large banks that are attacking conservatives and Christians solely based because of their belief system. I'll break that down for you in a second. Plus, a major fight happening right now in Texas. Yes, Democrats are leaving the state over redistricting battle. And it's a big problem that could expand all over the country as Democrats are holding state legislators hostage as they're trying to redistrict based on what the voters wanted. What does this mean moving forward? I'll explain it all to you. All right, I want to take a moment to talk about the economy. You've been seeing what's happening on Wall Street. You've seen what's been happening with interest rates, and you've probably seen gold prices hitting all-time record highs. Why? Because there is uncertainty all over the world right now. And when there is uncertain times, you want real answers about your financial stability. Well, at Kurt Elliott Precious Metals, you get more than gold and silver. You get trusted guidance from a team that puts people first always. You also get transparency. This is why I recommend them. Their mission is clear. They want to help you protect what matters most with real metals, real service, and real clarity. Now, here's why I love what they do at Kurt Elliott Precious Metals. Number one, bullion-only approach. They focus on investment-grade metals, not overpriced, quote, collectibles or gimmick products that cost you an insane amount of money for what you're actually getting. What they do is they sell you more metal for your money and fair value when it's time for you to actually sell. They also have upfront transparent pricing. Just 8% when you buy and 0 commissions when you go to sell. There are no hidden fees on top of that ever. That is the reason why I recommend them. They also make sure they give you personalized guidance for you. You're never just a number. No pressure, always real answers, and they make sure that you are in control. So if you're ready for real honest clarity and all of the BS taken out, visit kepm.com/Ben. That's kepm.com/Ben to schedule your personal portfolio review. Ask about today's unique market window and how the current silver to gold ratio might work in your favor. Protect what matters. Plan with clarity. kepm.com/Ben or 720-605-3900. That's 720-605-3900. Kurt Elliott Precious Metals. Smarter metal investing starts with them. It's the 47 Morning Update, and it starts right now.
Story number one.
In a major move to protect all Americans, the White House, we're now being told, is preparing a new executive order that would fine banks, small, medium, and the largest, for dropping customers for political reasons. The Wall Street Journal is reporting on it now. The order directs bank regulators to investigate whether any financial institutions might have violated the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, antitrust laws, or consumer financial protection laws. The Journal reported citing a draft text of the order. The order, which could be signed as early as this week, provides for monetary penalties, consent decrees, or other disciplinary measures against violators. The order also directs regulators to strike policies they have that might have contributed to banks dropping certain customers and requires the Small Business Association to review the practices of banks that guarantee the agency's loans. Now, This is a major move for protecting specifically conservatives that have been debanked by large banks and small banks alike. There are many in the Second Amendment community that have also been debanked as well. There are Christian organizations that have been debanked, missionary organizations that have been debanked, and conservative organizations that have been debanked, especially during the Biden years. Now the president's saying, you can't do that. It's un-American, and we're not going to allow it to stand. Now, Reuters is also reporting at this hour that the White House is apparently working on this at a rapid pace because they believe it is time to hold banks accountable that targeted people specifically for their political beliefs. Now, after speaking with people at the White House late this afternoon, here's what I can also tell you. The White House, I've been told, is in fact preparing an executive order that would empower the regulators to penalize banks for, quote, terminating customer relationships based on political beliefs. These penalties could include hefty fines, I'm being told, and also disciplinary actions. Now, financial regulators would be instructed to investigate potential breaches, not only of the Equal Credit Opportunity Act I mentioned earlier and antitrust laws, but also consumer protection regulations by banks accused of politically motivated actions against those who had bank accounts at their bank. The draft order also calls on policymakers to revoke existing internal bank policies that actually may have led to politically motivated account closures and directs the Small Business Administration to review loan-backed practices that could involve similar issues as well. Now, although no banks are mentioned by name, the order appears tied to public criticism of major institutions such as J.P. Morgan Chase and Bank of America, accused of severing ties with conservative clients, a charge that, of course, they strongly deny, and the Wall Street Journal has reported on this extensively recently. Now, according to others, the order could be signed, like I said, this week, potentially spelling major trouble for big banks. Now, this move reflects Donald Trump's ongoing concern, especially from conservative circles, about political bias or debanking in financial services. It forms part of a broader regulatory agenda to ensure economic institutions remain neutral and customers aren't penalized for political beliefs. At the end of the day, the President of the United States of America wants to make sure you're not targeted because you voted for him. And in the future, to make sure that no matter who you vote for, you're not targeted by a bank. Now, the order has not been officially issued yet, and there's a very good chance there will be changes that are made in the coming days and hours. Banks and regulators also are remaining relatively quiet, and the White House is saying they're willing to talk, but there's many that are scared what may be coming down the pipeline. And the big question is this: which agencies are actually going to lead enforcement? Oversight, I'm being told, is likely going to be by federal banking regulators, the Department of Justice, and the SBA. Implementation details are going to work through the White House in the hours and days ahead. At the end of the day, what does this mean? Well, it means that Donald Trump's looking out for conservatives that have been targeted solely because of our political beliefs. And that's exactly why so many Americans voted for him.
Now, story number 2.
Over 50 Texas House Democrats, including 62 members total in the lower chamber, have left Texas traveling to Illinois, New York, and Massachusetts. Well, at least they're consistent up there being sanctuary states and cities. Why? To deny quorum and block a GOP-backed congressional redistricting plan that would likely add up to 5 new Republican-leaning U.S. House seats. That is the claim by Democrats and why they're now fleeing the state. Now, this strategy mirrors previous walkouts in 2021 and in 2003 in Texas, where the quorum rules were used to slow down legislation. Governor Greg Abbott has now responded, issuing a 3 p.m. Monday ultimatum for Democrats to return or face serious consequences. He threatened to, quote, invoke a 2021 AG opinion, allowing courts to declare seats vacant due to intentional, quote, abandonment of office. He also could seek civil arrest warrants for absent members, valid only, however, inside of Texas, which is why so many Democrats have fled to liberal states. Also, he can investigate potential felony charges for fundraising to pay the $500 a day fines that are being imposed by the House rules. Now, the Texas House passed an 85-6 vote authorizing the sergeant at arms to issue civil arrest warrants for those that were purposely absent. Now, breaking quorum, by the way, is not a crime, making extradition impossible. Abbott cannot legally compel lawmakers to return from other states directly, is what is being said now by Politico. Declarations of vacancy would require individual court action in each lawmaker's district, potentially years of litigation, and would delay redistricting beyond the December 2025 deadline for the 2026 primaries. And that's exactly why Democrats are playing this game. Texas Democrats maintain they are, quote, standing up for Democratic norms, not running away. You can decide how ridiculous they actually are in your own minds. But many of the representatives are now taking more heat. Why? Because they are prioritizing the Democrats' agenda over prioritizing flood relief. Yes, that was one of the issues on the table that they're now fleeing from. I'll give you just another example of also how many liberal cities are helping them and states. The Illinois governor, Pritzker, publicly backed the lawmakers' actions, calling them a courageous defense of democracy and saying, welcome to Illinois. Democrats are characterizing the governor of Texas, Abbott's threats as, quote, smoke and mirrors, pointing out that constitutional tools like quorum breaks are legitimate devices, they say, to use under Texas law. Here's more of what Governor Abbott had to say about what the Democrats are doing and now what they're going to face.
So very simply, it would be bribery if any lawmaker took money to perform or to refuse to perform an act in the legislature. And the reports are these legislators have been both, they sought money and they offered money to skip the vote, to leave the legislature, to take a legislative act. That would be bribery. And so the facts will have to come out. But I think based upon comments made by legislators themselves, they face a possibility of facing bribery charges, which is a second-degree felony in the state of Texas. There's one way to cure that, and that is if they get back to the state of Texas and make quorum today at a hearing that we have at 3 o'clock, they can cure themselves of any quid pro quo that would subject them to potential bribery charges.
Well, guess what? Democrats decided not to come back by 3 o'clock. And why? Because apparently they love the idea of being arrested and saying they're being politically persecuted. Now, the one takeaway from this is pretty simple and clear. You can expect Democrats to probably pull the same exact shenanigans you're witnessing right now in other states around the country, and they're using Texas as the blueprint for it.
Thank you for listening to the 47 Morning Update with Ben Ferguson. Please make sure you hit subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast right now. And for more in-depth news, also subscribe to the Ben Ferguson Podcast, and we will see you back here tomorrow.
This is an iHeart podcast.